Fanny admitted impartially, and with a skip she took up her song again. A penny paper collar round his neck, la da da. Are you going to church this morning? Asked her sister. Yes, are you? Come for a walk instead. There's something I want to talk to you about. Won't it do afterwards? I've got an appointment. With Lord? Fanny laughed and nodded. Interrupted by the reappearance of the servant, who brought a tray and began to lay the table, they crossed the hall to the drawing-room. In half an hour's time a sluttish meal was prepared for them, and whilst they were satisfying their hunger, the door opened to admit Mrs. Peachey. Ada presented herself in a costume which, at any season but high summer, would have been inconveniently cool. Beneath a loose thin dressing-gown, her feet, in felt slippers, showed stockingless. Her neck was bare almost to the bosom, and the tresses of pale yellow, upon which she especially prided herself, lay raggedly pinned together on the top of her flat head. She was about 28 years old, but at present looked more than 30. Her features resembled Fanny's, but had a much less amiable expression, and betokened, if the thing were possible, an inferior intellect. Fresh from the morning basin, her cheeks displayed that peculiar colourlessness which results from the habitual use of paints and powders. Her pale pink lips, thin and sullen, were curiously wrinkled. She had eyes of slate colour, with lids so elevated that she always seemed to be staring in silly wonder. "So you've got breakfast, have you?" were her first words, in a thin and rather nasal voice. "You may think yourselves lucky." "You have a cheek of your own," replied Beatrice. "Whose place is it to see that we get meals?" "And what can anyone do with servants like I've got?" retorted the married sister. "It's your own fault. You should get better, and when you've got them you should manage them, but that's just what you can't do." "Oh, you'd be a wonderful housekeeper, we know all about that. If you're not satisfied, you'd better find board and lodging somewhere else, as I've told you often enough. You're not likely to get it as cheap." They squabbled for some minutes, Fanny looking on with ingenuous amusement, and putting in a word, now for this side, now for that. "And what am I going to have for breakfast?" demanded Mrs. Peachey at length, surveying the table. "You've taken jolly good care of yourselves, it seems to me." She jumped up and rang the bell. When a minute's interval brought no reply, she rang again. Beatrice thought it probable that the bell might be rung without effect, till all was blue. "We'll see about that," answered her sister, and forthwith invaded the lower parts of the house. Thence, presently, her voice became audible, rising gradually to shrillness. With it there blended the rougher accents of the housemaid, now in reckless revolt. Beatrice listened for a minute or two in the hall, then passed on into the drawing-room with a contemptuous laugh. Fanny, to whom the uproar seemed to bring a renewal of appetite, cut herself a slice of bread and butter, and ate it as she stood at the window. "Dirty cat! Beast! Swine!" The mistress of the house, fairly beaten away by superior force of vocabulary, reappeared with these and other exclamations, her face livid, her foolish eyes starting from their sockets. Fanny, a sort of Mother Carey's chicken, revelled in the row, and screamed her merriment. It was long before the domestic uproar wholly subsided, but towards 11 o'clock the sisters found themselves together in the drawing-room. Ada sprawled limply on a sofa, Beatrice sat with legs crossed in the most comfortable chair, and Fanny twirled about on a music-stool. The only books in the room were a few show volumes, which belonged to Arthur Peachey, and half a dozen novels of the meaner kind, wherewith Ada sometimes beguiled her infinite leisure. But on tables and chairs lay scattered a multitude of papers, illustrated weeklies, journals of society, cheap miscellanies, penny novelettes, and the like. At the end of the week, when new numbers came in, Ada Peachey passed many hours upon her sofa.